a month has gone by, and your two favourite gentlemen, your two favourite Vinland Saga blokes are here to speak about it once again. I am here. I am Kyle Entertainment. Oh my god, I've never done that before. Did you just hear me do that?
And
Should we
I
redo
am
it?
Jarkey Bacon.
Yikes!
Woo!
I've never
Now
introduced
we'll keep it
myself.
in.
I was like, do
We're
I just want to
going
do the
for it.
same thing where I go, I couldn't figure out how to get to Bacon, introduce yourself. And I started with I
Yeah.
am me. Yikes. Well, that's a dark day in the history of my life. But what the fuck
It is
chapter are we on?
always very weird.
170, 92 we're here.
92.
What's the
It's
chapter
always
called?
quite weird when you oh, this is a big talking point.
Alright, do
Anyway,
whatever you
but
were
it's
just
always
going to
kind
say
of
in a
weird when
minute.
you have to say
Fake name.
your online alias. It's
I
not
don't even
fake,
like
it's
saying
real.
my real name. I hate
Yeah,
introducing
well, your
myself.
name's actually Kyle. I can't believe you dox yourself like that,
Yes.
just straight up. Who would do that? Miller or Ari?
Well,
Can't believe you.
never
Little
mind.
did you know my name's actually Jarkey in real life, and that's why everybody calls me.
No, I know your name, Bacon. You can't fool me.
Oh no, the PayPal. This
Uh-huh.
is why he paid me for those thumbnails all along.
Can't afford that anymore. I have to make my
It's
own
not too
birdcage thumbnails.
Oh no, I'm out of a job.
Alright, so the title
Alright.
is Thousand Year Voyage Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So is this technically a new arc because we're doing the part thing again? Though we did Flattered Turn
Yeah, I
arc. Is
guess
that
so.
technically its own arc? Or is that part of the other one? Baltic Sea
The
War
Hunter
arc
and
isn't
Hunter.
even the right thing. Bacon's mad about this all the time. Explain, Bacon.
Yeah,
Explain what's going on here.
So I call these like the Sailing West. You also had those chapters as well,
Yes,
which
I
is
remember
basically
that.
them getting to Vinland. So I'd all consider this part of the Vinland arc. But yeah, this is like a new mini arc, I guess. And the 1,000 Year Voyage. First thing I thought of was 2,000 years from now or whatever. So it turns
Yeah,
out
I saw
now
that
Vinland
tweet.
Saga is taking away
Stealing again like
is
they
now
stole the
copying.
Kenny speech. That Askeladd prick.
It's mutual. It's
Uh-huh.
mutual. But yeah. So I mean, what's your thoughts, Kyle? What's your thoughts?
1,000 Year Voyage. I did see some tweets of you speculate. No, I went on the Reddit release thread because I've been checking Reddit the last few days because I hate myself, even though I kicked that
And
habit
I
like
actually made that thread
7 months ago. I did
as a
not notice
good
that, but
Vinland
I did
Saga
notice
mod.
you in the comments.
Mhm.
I didn't look too far into the comments. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I kicked the Reddit thread, but then I came back. I can't remember what I came back for. Oh wait, I remember now, but we don't need to go on that tangent. It made that sound way more ominous than it is. Miller knows why I checked it. But let's move on again. What was he talking about? 1,000 Year Voyage. 1,000 years. Now, I saw you say, in fact, that it could be in reference to the bloke's visions from a few chapters back. Because that was like 1,000 years in the future. Because this is fucking the 11
Roughly so.
Uh-huh.
It's also at this point in the manga is around about 1022, and it's 2022 this year. So like
Ooh.
you can maybe making a direct comparison to like us now as well. So like
1,000
from
years.
Thorfinn to us now.
It's like odd. It's an odd title.
Yukimura isn't normally this. Well, it hasn't been for a while. Like oh, here's the I guess the Fetid Turn and the Hunted and the Hunter, but then you also got War in the Baltic,
Yeah,
sailing
literal
east,
like
sailing west.
yeah.
Just like I feel like in the prologue he was a lot more varied because he didn't have these like long titles like these formatted titles, and he kind of even in Farmland as well. So I was feeling like I don't know. I kind of miss that you have like these long titles. I guess that I would have preferred if you have like last chapter was called The Day, which was pretty cool. Like it was just called The Day, which
The day. It certainly
you can
was.
take a lot from. So though, if we are going to get some a cool name for these next coming parts, I guess this is a pretty good one. I like it.
1,000 Year Voyage. I'll think on it a little bit, but we got to backtrack a few pages now because we we are putting a stone in the ground. It's a memoriam, which you had reminded me that Thorfinn promised to do in the Farmland arc. It says Frida. Maybe that's Frieder. I don't know how to say it, but it means peace. There's a note here from the translation team. So,
shouts to Project Finland.
yes,
As
you
always.
can find out about those blokes on what's his fucking name? Jarkey Bacon's channel or something.
Decent.
There's something
video,
Thorfinn said here that I thought was interesting. It's good. Daddy, what to search rock for? It's a cenotaph. I'm on you into the souls. Hal taught you how to read. Little hint there. Hal's a teacher now instead of an angry girl. Thorfinn says like this is the only thing he knows, right? But knowing is only enough, please. Or does he not say this? Well, Daddy doesn't know any other letters. So does he only know these three? Does he only know F-R-I? Well, that's 4, you dumb fuck. Because there's 2 R's. Does he only know these letters, or does he only know peace? Is it supposed to be something metaphorical about Finland? Thorfinn only knows peace now, and then that's going to get challenged later in the chapter as we go on our journey back to Markland. What does this mean? Am I being stupid? What's the go?
I mean, that's an interesting take. I like that. I thought it was just like Thorfinn doesn't know how to read, so he probably also asked Hild, "Hey, I want to make this word, and I want to put it on this rock. Could you carve it for me?" And then that's like the only words he actually knows what they're written like. I'm not sure if Thorfinn's, because he was listening into Snake and Sverkel, reading the Bible. So I presume he doesn't. But that was in Greek. That's not in Norse. So I don't know. I don't really thought about if he knew how to read or not. But I mean, I guess I assumed that it would be something he would have picked up in Constantinople or something, when he's trading.
Wait, is this supposed to be in Greek? Oh, is it a Greek? No, it's Old Norse. So he's writing Norse.
This is Old Norse. This is Norse. Yeah. It's just that Snake's Bible is probably Greek. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around that. Okay. Why would it be Greek?
So, it's just because of the style and.
Oh, okay. It did Orthodox look weird. I remember that.
Yeah. So it's just the visualization of the book. So it would have been Greek or Latin.
Wait, let's go.
Because Snake is probably from Constantinople, it's probably Greek.
Oh, okay.
Because it's probably Greek Orthodox.
I was going to say, let's go on a history of Christianity. I was trying to figure out, but yeah, it was first popular in the Roman Empire, right? Or is that the
So you had Constantine, I think that was his name, who was 300 years after Jesus does his thing, starts Christianity effectively. Constantine, which I think is what Constantinople was named after, perhaps.
Sounds similar.
Was basically made it the empire's religion was Christianity because his mum was very Christian or something like that, and basically.
And he changes the capital too, right?
Into
East,
yeah, I guess
right?
so. Yeah, true. I think so. Yeah,
I think that's in a.
Now my lack of history knowledge is showing.
That's in like a. It's either in the History of the World by Bill Warts, or it's in one of those oversimplified videos. I can remember a YouTube video saying he moved this from this. I think it might have been the history of the entire world. I guess I just got big lightning flashback and big exciting things happening.
Oh wow, you're entering out of summer. We're just getting into it. Yes. It got up to double degrees, double digits here, and I was like, "Oh boy, the shirt and shorts are coming out." I was looking for my flip-flops.
If it ever gets 15, to double,
like, ooh, let's go.
I would say only in the deepest heart of winter does it ever get single digits where I live. But
yeah. Do you ever wear like trousers? What do you call them? Pants?
Long pants? I just call them long pants because that's what people usually wear are just short pants. It's always weird when Americans freak out whenever they're watching something and like, why don't they have pants on? I'm like, shorts are pants, you stupid motherfucker. But I see. I've seen so many YouTube videos or streams of people being weirded out by people wearing short pants all the time. Weird Americans, But yeah.
Okay, because in the UK we call them trousers and shorts, and pants is underwear.
Yeah, I think that's how the Americans do it too.
No. Americans call them. They call pants trousers. They don't have the word trousers.
Well, Australians never say trousers. Brits. I've never said that word in my fucking life. I've, of course, heard it before. but I've never said that word, and you just made me say it, and I'm mad about it. But that's a cultural difference.
Start using it, yeah.
Which we love to highlight
once again
on the Vinland Saga,
like we did last chapter.
Yeah,
Anyway, we're talking about history, right?
Christianity and stuff.
Yeah, so this is before what's called the Great Schism. This is when Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox split in about 1050. And this is because the Bishop of Rome, which is the Pope...
Isn't Martin Luther involved here, or is that Reformation?
No, this is later.
That's 500 years later, because that'll be the part of the Enlightenment, right?
Yeah. So, do you remember Peter? He's a famous disciple of Jesus.
I've definitely heard about Peter in the Bible or whatever, I think.
Yeah, so Peter, one of the main disciples, he becomes the first bishop of Rome, and this eventually morphs into into being like the Pope, effectively. And so what happens is that basically the bishop in Rome and the Eastern Orthodox, they basically kind of the bishop in Rome becomes a lot more politically influential and a lot more powerful. And basically the Eastern Orthodox didn't like that. I won't say too much more actually, because I haven't actually read up on it that much. But basically there's a break apart there. So before you had Protestants and Catholics, you had the split between the church in general. But yeah, so that's your Christian history. I went off on a tangent.
So this is all before that, okay? Because obviously Rome is like 500 or 600 years it falls before Vinland Saga. Obviously we got the Askeladd speech and the Roman pillars or whatever. Our timelines have been fixed.
This is why the Greece arc should have been shown. There's so much potential. You go there, there's like religious conflict. I don't know, there's a lot of potential.
So the Greek...
That's just for my history brain.
Greece is part of the Roman Empire at some point, right? And that's probably when it becomes Christian, right? Because, I don't know, when I think of Greece or whatever, or ancient Greece, I just think of ancient Greece, which is way before Christianity, so...
Yeah. Well, I mean, Greece was part of the Roman Empire way before Christianity became, like the Roman Empire got all the way to Israel, basically, right? Yeah. Which is where Jesus was, to Jerusalem. And then Constantinople got moved over to what we know now as Turkey, or Istanbul. And yeah, actually, I'm going to post a little picture in chat. Just because it helps. We do also need a bit of geography for this chapter, just like where Markland is compared to Vinland. It gets a bit confusing, so there's very shout-outs to @Josu_.
Oh, I think I've seen versions of this before. The Vinland Saga.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it's very helpful. This does deviate slightly from history, because if you look next to Greenland on the left, there's this one called Helluland. Helluland?
Yeah.
Which sounds
I'm looking at it.
Basically... In the real Vinland text, I think they actually went there, while in our version they didn't quite make it there for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but
okay.
Maybe there's a lot of discussion about what happened.
So in going to Greece, so they go down through Turkey, I'm assuming.
They go through Ukraine.
Well, yeah, down. My mouse is over it.
So yeah. So when you think about it, and the editor of Vinland Saga says, "Oh yeah, a big part Yukimura said like back in 2020 or 2019 he didn't do the Greece arc because of the political unrest in Ukraine."
Okay.
Now we're kind of seeing, like at the time when I read that, I was like, Ukraine? What's going on there? There's nothing happening there. And now we're like,
he's tapped in, this Yukimura fella.
Exactly. My ignorance was showing. Though I do think that sounds a bit like, I'm sure Yukimura would have been fine going to Kiev and stuffing up that. But
that's right, because he wants to travel to all the places he writes about, right?
Yeah. But,
I'll be honest, I thought the Baltic Sea was more down here, but that's just my fucking... Well, I guess it technically is where my mouse is.
There's the Baltic and the Baltics and the Baltic Sea, which are different things. So
Okay. Well, this is useful, but Markland was what we got this up. I couldn't, because when I was reading the chapter, I was pretty sure Markland was the place they left people, and obviously I kept reading it. It was obvious that it was, but I didn't remember the name immediately, so yeah.
Yeah. This is how we pad out all
Our
our,
Vinland Saga
our
video
discussions.
length. Um,
I think he was talking about Greece and not Ukraine. I think he was though, Sergeant. Um,
Political unrest in
I,
Turkey or
we're
slash
gonna have to pull
Greece.
up that tweet again. It was a while ago. I definitely took a picture of it, but I feel like it was. Though translating from Japanese using the Google Translate, yeah, it's always a bit dodgy. So
Yeah.
because the
Okay.
Kiev and Rus at the historical time are big. I like the Vikings that were, they eventually were Vikings that moved into Constantinople, and they kind of so that's why the Viking focus. I feel like understanding Kiev and Ukraine would have been quite important. I think. Anyway,
Okay.
uh, should we actually talk about this chapter?
Away
Sorry.
from history, we got a stone. Kylie's doing a handstand. Thorfinn living up to his promises. We got a hint that Hild is continuing the work. And we got a little editor's note growing both wheat and peace in Vinland's earth. How cute.
Oh, lovely.
Anything else to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, shout outs to Sergeant once again. He's been harping on to me in DMs and on various places about how, Thorfinn said in the farmland he's going to build a burrow to the dead. And here they use the
Indeed.
word cenotaph, which is basically a very similar thing. Um, it's kind of like it feels like a matter of preference on the translation.
Xenopath. Because
So
I know there's a King
basically,
Crimson song called Epitaph, which is like another thing to do with like a
mm,
death thing. A
yeah.
phrase or form of words written in memory of a person who has died is epitaph. Epitaph, they say in the fucking song. And then cenotaph here is an empty tomb or monument erected in honor of a person or group of people whose remains are elsewhere, which is particularly poignant. It
Oh, I
can
see.
it can be the initial tomb for a person who has since been re-entered elsewhere. But yeah,
Hmm.
okay, so it makes sense contextually
And
because these people, Thorfinn doesn't, like, they're not literally buried there and they're sort of nameless. All the
mhm.
people Thorfinn's killed
Yeah, a
most.
burrow is ancient burial mound.
Yeah.
So it's very similar, but this was, I guess, is probably more technically more accurate translation because they're not there. So
I know
it's like a
Burrow because
memorial.
they use it in Game of Thrones, if we can bring this back. And I searched and
Oh,
it comes up with some quarterback. I think I spelt Burrow wrong. Is it a U or an O? Burrow.
it's an A
Yes,
instead of the U.
The Barrowlands. Ned and Robert talk over the old kings of the
Oh,
North burrows because they would bury them in
well, I say
burrows.
borrow, isn't it?
Burrows, bureaus, you know what I'm saying.
Bureaucrats.
But it's interesting in Game of Thrones, Bacon, because initially they buried them in burrows, but then they started making crypts, and what's going on? Who's taking consciousness from dead bodies and things like this?
What?
What's going
No
on? It's a big
way.
mystery, or an implied mystery,
Yeah.
or at least Preston tells me so. But what was the word? Cenotaph. It seems to cenotaph probably seems to fit.
Maybe Kenotaph. That would be
Maybe.
abomination. All right.
Um, moment to console the souls of the death. Oh, wait, I already read this. All right, was that the? Did I let you get your entire point out here, or?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I was expecting it to be a bigger thing, but
Yeah.
maybe that's just because Sergeant was hyping it up a lot. But we got it. We got something. So we're winning here on the predictions. Um, so yeah, shout out to Sergeant.
It's interesting because I feel like it's only really personally relevant to Thorfinn. Like, I don't think this was part of Hild's like forgiveness or whatever. And Einar
No.
hasn't seen Thorfinn kill anybody, and Carly like it doesn't get the big explanation here. So yeah, it's kind of just sort of a personal thing for Thorfinn, I guess. Um,
Well, it's also it's Einar's the one he made the promise to. So
mm,
Einar being there makes sense. So
yeah,
I initially thought it was going to be another Arneed grave. But it makes
yeah, that's
sense
what
now
I
in
initially
retrospect because
thought
they already
too.
kind of did that.
Yeah.
Because they've already made her statue and stuff. So shout outs.
Then we seemingly get another time skip, right? They're back, or is it?
I reckon if it's a time skip, it's very very short. Like
Yeah.
it maybe max a week. I reckon it's this roughly the same amount of time.
Wait, hold on. I think I'm confusing things in my head. So they left recently. Where are they coming back from exactly?
So they're coming back from Greenland.
Okay.
This was always a bit confusing to me too, because as you know, I don't pay attention to the plot really. It's not on this map, but I think they went back to Greenland, and maybe even back to Iceland. I don't know. But this was in the winter, and then we had the chapter where, in the spring everything was blooming, the wheat was blooming, and so they've come back now because it's now spring. They made their trip, and they've checked on Markland at the time.
Because the time skip happened last chapter, obviously. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah, so we got big beardy boy Vargar, my favorite. Got a lot of quintessential Yukimura design. Some may say.
Quintessential. Who would have said that? I like how I feel like, is he the only one that calls Thorfinn boss? But it's cute.
Yeah, it is cute.
I don't know. I can't remember Swordboy's name again. Swordboy doesn't call Thorfinn boss, right?
No, he calls him Thorfinn.
What's his name, Bacon? Ivar. That's right, because it's similar to Einar. What's going on here? We see stacks of wood. We got wheat blooming, but he has bagged news about the place. Now, was this in one of the chapters we covered? Or was it that they originally left people in Markland? Or it might have been one of the ones I did in a big catch-up. Or did we cover it?
You did in a big catch-up. Yeah, they said they left like 13 people. It was one of the 70s chapters.
Yeah. I feel like I said at the time that it was going to basically play out like this, and it could be a clear setup for some drama later down the line. That's all I had to say about that. What were you going to say?
Yeah. I think when I saw this, when he says, I've got some bad news, I thought Leif had died. I think
that's exactly what I thought too.
I was going to say. Yeah, I thought Leif. I think we this was in the prediction video we did on my channel. We probably said this, and I was on the same wavelength.
Yes. But yeah, things are playing out here. So they got an arrow shot at them while they were trying to land, and then they decided, fuck it, we ain't landing here. It's got something attached to it, which is, what is it? 2 fluid. This is... Oh, it's because they recognize the specific tribe, right? Because the reason why they didn't want to settle close to this, the first place they landed, was because that was near where Leif landed originally, right? And that's where they went to war with the natives. Do I have my Vinland Saga history?
Yeah, they go down further. Yeah, so I think on the map, if we go back to it, they had like an initial point, and then they go down to Markland.
Oh, yes. And then they travel well downfield, and they thought Markland was safe enough, and then obviously Vinland is way further down, so they would be... Okay, yeah. But it turns out this did we get a silhouette shot when they left? Do I remember this tease, or?
No, that was another one. That was when they first met the. Though I haven't reread those chapters in a while. Those are some of those like just short ones that you could just. Yeah, no. So I don't think so. I think you're referring to another one.
Okay.
It's when Thorfinn and Hild are leaving the knife initially in Vinland to like them, and they can get it later, I think.
So when they initially landed, did they find some arrows? How does Thorfinn know that this is their specific arrow?
Yeah, because Thorfinn picks up an arrow from Leif's old settlement.
Yes, when they initially land. Okay, so I was vaguely remembering that.
Yeah, you were correct.
I'm always correct, Then Ivar, he's here. He's saying, he initially says, wait for me, I'll go get ready for war. And I was like, Thorfinn, are you sure you want to take this fellow? Shouldn't he have had a bit more of a reaction here? But he doesn't. Takes him with him anyway.
Yeah. I think Thorfinn's thinking is probably better keep Ivar close. Because if you don't take him, then Ivar's probably going to start talking some mad stuff back at
while
Vinland,
he's gone,
right?
try to usurp some power, perhaps.
Yeah, and also because
some shit.
Only Thorfinn and no one in Vinland knows about this. Thorfinn is keeping it between it's just him and
that's
Varga,
right, because they go into a private space here to speak about it. They're behind the wood. That's why the wood was shown earlier. It was an establishing shot. It's all coming together. Okay.
Yeah. So
and he was just sneaking. He wasn't even supposed to hear this, so he has to take him with him.
Yeah,
Oh, that
exactly.
made my ear ring.
Being a sneaky boy.
Yes, okay. Makes sense. Also, the plot reason is because this is going one of two ways. Either this is the way we eventually win old mate over here, Ivor, I remember his name, over, or we're starting to escalate into some grand finale drama because he kills somebody. Maybe he's probably taken the sword with him, right? I
Ooh,
would
that's
imagine.
a good question. Because if Ivor took the sword with him, like, it's hard to keep that. Like, if they're all on the same ship, it's hard for him
Yeah,
to
how
keep
would you
that
hide it? But
away from Thorfinn. So,
that's why he
I
says he has
actually,
to
now you
go
say
get
that, I
ready, I
doubt it.
assume.
I guess so. Wait for me. I'll go get ready for war. Yeah, he must have the sword on him then. Ooh, I didn't think about that.
It's
I'll have a closer look at some of these next panels than these next
it's
shots.
interesting
But
because we do have the splintering paths here of Hopium Vinland Saga fans and can we call them Copium? Not really, but it would sound funny. Versus the Copium Vinland Saga fans of like the Hopium. We're gonna meet the natives. We're gonna have an initial skirmish, but we're gonna win over this bloke and the natives through Thorfinn's wit, charisma, and pacifism. And then the other way
and
is this bloke's gonna kill some fella. They're gonna tail their boat back to Vinland. Big ol' war. Plus the
the
natives.
Copium fans will also cry about not like, oh, we're still getting his ending right, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
the
So
it's interesting because I just thought of this. This could be set up for us having three groups. There could be the Vinland people, and then what is the tribe that's close to Vinland?
Elnu, well,
No,
actually, this is I think.
isn't this the one that's causing the trouble?
Well,
Or are they the
this is
same
the thing.
tribe?
So the Elnu, that they're calling them all Elnu, right?
Okay.
They're all, which is a bit of an interesting thematic thing, which we can kind of build on later, I guess.
Because it could
But
be
yeah,
okay. It could be a sense of them coloring all people under one brush, under one light here. I was going to say because there could be three groups, right? The people, the natives from around Markland, and then in the middle could be the natives from near Vinland that we've met, and so it could be like a three-group thing rather than just natives versus Vinland people, which could prove that in the end the natives that have grown to know and like the Vinland, the North's people could end up being a big part of the a potential happy ending in the end of like what do you call it when you mediate? Mediate. I think that is the word I was looking for. Mediate between the two groups. Or
yeah.
Starts with a P, I think. Play per
Intermediate. There's intercede. That's also another word. That's
maybe.
kind of
Fuck
oh
me.
well.
Make the two groups come together is what I'm trying to say. Anyway.
Yeah.
Or
I think also
quell
taking
their
Ivor on this
differences.
trip is, yeah. I think taking Ivor on this trip is also just important from a thematic perspective because Ivor's the strongest opposition to Thorfinn.
Yes.
He's always pushing back, and I mean as we see later on this chapter. So it's important that Ivor. So like for me, like how I kind of lots of times read story, I'm like, oh, this makes sense thematically. I don't have to really think about why Ivor's coming along. Like even if he could have left it, like Ivor's got to come along because thematically that makes sense. But of course. Now I've just thought about it. Plot-wise, it does make sense.
It does make exact sense. He was fucking snooping. He's a prick.
Snooping.
Yeah. He would have leaked the information, so he's got to come. But
yeah.
He does seem to be in armor here with like a stick that's probably a row or an oar, not a row.
Or it could be a spear.
There's no way Thorfinn's standing next to him with a spear. You'll whack him if he sees it.
Well, there's spears later on. So spears are okay. It's just swords that are bad. So
well, that seems.
No, I don't see Ivor with one though. No, yeah, it looks like Ivor.
Is this a oar or a spear?
Go another one over. Go like.
This one you still only see sort of the pole. No, they definitely have spears here.
Yeah. If you keep on clicking along, yeah.
Yeah,
so.
this one. Look here. Yeah. Okay.
So spears are okay, because
you can hunt with them, I guess, and swords aren't really.
Yeah,
for
I think
hunting.
that's the main thing.
I guess that makes sense. Okay.
Swords, particularly historically, so swords are almost And if you look at Ivor's sword, this is a good example. Swords were more, they were for personal combat. You're not going to be
Yeah,
fighting
obviously.
bears with swords. Um,
It's
and
not
it's
ideal.
because when you go into like a crowded situation, swords are a lot better to wield and
Yeah.
to, because they're smaller, you're able to draw them. They have a symbolic gesture of wealth to them. Spears are generally quite almost peasant-like. They're very easy to
It's just a
use.
fucking
Swords take
stick.
more skill to use. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so spears can also be useful fishing as well. So
Of
yeah,
course. Spear
that's
fishing.
why they
It's a
put it
thing,
out.
Bacon. I've heard of it.
It
Um,
is.
like when Thorfinn did that cute scene where he fished in the farmland, he was just using nets. Remember that scene? That was a great time.
Yeah, I do
Um,
remember that. That was a good time.
oh, the thing here where Thorfinn's clanging on the fucking thing, like getting rid of any element of surprise they might have because he wants to, he is more concerned with what's going on, getting to the bottom of this. They see a deer, and he's like, deer means there ain't no people here. See how that rhymed, Bacon? I
Yeah,
can do it all,
it's just
frankly.
yeah. Thorfinn's being. I like how like he's shown to be quite like Thorfinn's quite smart. Like he's, this is where his skills are as like
Yeah.
as being like a warrior for so long. He knows he wants to make it clear that look, so we're here. So if he makes a big pot, people will come out and be like, "Well, what the heck is this big sound coming from?" Right?
Yeah.
But if no one comes and the deer run away, that means no one's there, and it scares the deer. So it does like it's a really smart move. So, and I like the gestures of Ivar and Varga in the background.
And
Like,
yeah,
ooh.
I've seen this gag, the we're supposed to be quiet, but then Luffy is loud gag before. It's a little more thoughtful than Luffy probably would be. But what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, it's also interesting because if the natives are like literally watching them, it would sort of be off-putting to them because they would probably expect somebody to try and sneak up on them. But clearly, this bloke is different. He's trying to like sort
Hmm.
of what is it? Signal that he's here.
Hmm.
But yeah, Thorfinn is
That's true.
clearly in a somber mood here. He is not happy about this. And there's no struggle. Now, how familiar are you, Mr. Bacon? And I promise this isn't a baseless tangent, though we never go on those. That Christianity thing
No,
had
never.
worth. How familiar are
Yeah.
you with Let Me Know videos, specifically the Roanoke one?
Oh, I do. I've definitely binged all his videos at some point.
Yeah, well, his
Probably
Roanoke one
like
is
6 months
about
ago.
an English settlement in the Americas
Yes,
before anything
that
happened.
was a good one.
And I remember a story from that being that one, like this bloke left and he was stuck in England for 3 years because they went to war with Spain. Black Sails has a bunch of England war stuff. I know everything
Mhm.
about it. Not England war stuff, England and Spain war stuff. England war stuff, that's a lot of a larger subject. You Brits, you just go to war. But I remember a
We
story
do.
in that this bloke went to Roanoke, he settled it, and then he was like, okay, we'll be back in like 6 months with some food or whatever. And then he left, and then because of the war, he was stuck in England or London for like 3 years. And then he eventually goes back and he finds the settlement basically abandoned, but there was no sign of like struggle or death around. And it's a big mystery what happened to those people in those 3 years because they were never found or whatever. And that whole video was about what happened to them, and there's some evidence of some rocks and
Mm.
shit. So I wasn't. This obviously isn't a reference to that because that happens like I think like 600 years after this. If we're doing a historical
But I
timeline,
think we know that Yukimura is a Let Me Know
probably not that many
fan. I
years.
think that's kind of obvious, right?
That
So
Yukimura is what?
a Let Me Know fan
Oh, okay. What? Am I missing the
probably watches
reference?
him on the. No, no, I just reckon Yukimura, gets up his
Oh, that's where
popcorn
he
and
gets the idea
clicks on
from.
some Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The fuck. What was I
I mean,
saying?
it's not entirely impossible that Yukimura could have been inspired by actually Roanoke. Now you say about it, because Yukimura, settlements. He probably did a bit of historical research. This may have popped up, So
Yeah.
it
I
is
wasn't
very
sure if this was
possible.
like a common thing that happened in like native struggles with like
Mm.
white invaders or settlers during this time. Like I guess this goes into the wider theory, Bacon. What the fuck is the go here? What's going on? What happened? Um
Yeah.
I
So,
have no
do you have any
idea.
thoughts?
Go ahead.
You have no idea.
They
Well, I
got
think it's
kidnapped and
surprising because,
round up,
I
and
mean,
so Thorfinn can save him later and be the hero, and it's a happy ending. I guess that's my thought. That's sort of a
yeah,
plot, bro.
sure.
Like why this would happen
Sounds
for
like
the
you're
plot
more of
reason.
the copium at the moment, Kyle. That's what I'm gonna say. Look at this
Mm-hmm.
guy huffing and puffing. Look at this. I think Kyle. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you
Oh,
dead?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, you're here. Okay, so Um, I think that this is interesting because Yukimura doesn't really feel like a mystery type of guy. Like I can't remember the last time in his plots he Journey has
It
some sort
reminds
of
me specifically of the
mystery.
scene where they find Carly the first time, where Thorfinn
Mm,
rolls up, and there is a mystery there, but it's
that's a
only
good
like
point.
at the beginning and by the end of the chapter
One
it's
chapter
solved.
or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
There's also a bit of a mystery on like a bait and switch if like Canute dies and gets assassinated, but oh no, it's just a
yeah,
female slave.
yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't feel like a Yukimura type of thing to do. So this is what I was not expecting. But this always adds, great intrigue. It shows that Yukimura has a grander scope for this plot. Um, and now mysteries are always a bit of playing with fire. I feel like because if they don't fulfill your expectations, of
I
course.
love them every
Um,
time, Bacon. I'll let you know. I'm the easiest mystery
um,
fan. I don't care how stupid it is, but we can have faith in the man.
yeah, I think so too. It's just that like people, if you give people theories and they'll run wild with them,
Yeah.
then they'll inevitably be disappointed when it doesn't come to fruition.
I feel like
Um,
this kind of avoids that because there really is only two options. Because the mystery really is, are they
yeah.
dead or are they alive? Um, I guess the mystery is separate from that because I'm assuming most people think they're dead. Because it would naturally escalate the plot, and for a bunch of other reasons, it works. It would also be how they died. But like, there's only sort of a limited amount. It's not like what's in the basement where it can literally be anything anybody can think of. It's sort of like a set amount. Like it's probably not aliens, guys, but like it sort of has to be more grounded than that. Then maybe the Ymir people showed up and ate them.
Yeah, I think
Oh, it is
I
exactly like
don't
the.
think
Hold on, it is exactly like the Attack on Titan thing where they get to the. What village is it? It's at the beginning of the season 2. They get to a village and there's like no sign of
oh
struggle.
yeah. This is Connie's village, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then they find Connie's mum,
And
and then
yeah, no.
what a time. Anyway, go ahead. What were you
What a
gonna say?
time. I think there's a lot of key notes here that you like. As interesting, I'm looking back on it now. It's all Thorfinn's internal monologue. So, like, if you go to the next page from where you're
Yeah,
looking at here, he's inside the house, and he says no marks of no marks of destruction. This wasn't just pillaging,
pillaging. Yeah,
and then the next page, he talks about why there's such a large scale attack and not picking up the arrows as a key
it seems
point.
wasteful, so it has
Um,
to be almost a message,
Very
perhaps.
purposeful, yeah.
Yes.
So I think it. I don't like. I think it's not the question of whether they're alive or dead. I think it's more of what happened to them, and I don't think they are dead. I think the two options are that they either have been captured or they either have fled. Now I think Ivor jumps to the conclusion they've been killed. I didn't actually reread the chapter, so maybe not is
I
quite that
think he
specific,
does, and
but
then the other one, and no, that's Canute's friend,
Arga.
Gaga. I was gonna say Gaga, but then that sounded stupid. I don't know. Gaga's an okay name. Um, Quintessentially is. But what was I gonna say about him?
Yeah.
He says that
You
they
know it to be
probably
true as well.
fled. So it's probably if we do like narrative tropey things. What do you call it? Narrative tendencies. If somebody says this is how
Yeah.
it happened, it probably didn't exactly happen then because it would give away the mystery. So it's probably not these two things simply. Now, just quickly, I've just thought of two things. Either, and it's hard to even conceive of this because Vinland Saga has been so like non-violent for a long, long time, and there hasn't been like a
Hmm.
gut punch. There is a potentiality here that it could be like a message, like they're going to like mutilate the bodies and hang them up as Thorfinn progresses here, and he's going to see them. We're going to get an eclipse-esque imagery chapter where it's fucking. There's that one shot at the end of the eclipse where it's just guts and like all the apostles surround him, and then they spit up, or not spit up, but they like show off all the body parts of all the band of the Hawk they've
Mm.
slaughtered. And they all start laughing, and he freaks out, and then it gets worse because then that he sees Casca and it's a whole fucking thing. We've all seen Berserker. If you haven't, don't think about it. It could be that, but I just can't conceive of Vinland doing that. Like, what's the biggest
I
gut
don't think
punch in
Vinland's.
Vinland? Like,
I mean,
I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't think. I think I doubt Yukimura is going to portray the tribes as anything but human. Ultimately, I don't think he's going to portray them
Yeah.
as savages, at least not intentionally. I feel like he has been quite careful not to do that. He
That
may,
could be.
uh,
Finish your point. Finish your point.
he could lean accidentally on like certain unhelpful tropes that have been like established, but I don't think he's going to make them seem um
I
like
would.
at least
Yeah.
alien and
Yeah. The
savage,
thing I was
for
gonna
lack of a better
say is
term.
the benefit of having sort of these two separate groups of the ones we know. It could give him
Mm,
leniency where if he has like one group that I don't know. It's not really like it's because they went to war in the past and they just are trying to avoid like whatever violence happened to
hmm
them. So it's not like mindless. It would just sort of be like a big message of like leave. So there would
It's
be
yeah,
some
it's
thought into it. It
I
wouldn't just be mindless like the apostles who like to eat humans
no.
because Lamau.
They
But I would
they
just say
they've
that
been
might
very
be a benefit.
tactical
But
about it.
I see, like I don't think that's going to happen at all. I
Mm,
like can't think of Vinland doing something like that. Um,
yeah. I think I mean the closest we've ever got to something like that is like Thorfinn's dream. Of course, like when we got something that kind of terrifying, I guess, because that's like
uh,
when you think of
I don't know.
everybody's
I
like,
don't.
oh, that's the Berserk chapters, but it's I guess in aesthetic, but not in actual like gut punch of
I
like,
feel like the biggest
oh my
gut
word,
punch is
everybody's
the
dying.
rape scene. I guess the cut rape scene that I talk about in the.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think what's like the most violent, visceral. Like even when like the farmers are
Oh
getting.
no. Sorry. It's Arnie getting beaten up by a kettle. That's the most visceral.
Yeah,
Um,
that one's pretty
at least in
bad.
my opinion, that was like just jaw dropping, just like um.
Yeah, that one's pretty. That's probably the worst because you care about Arnie more than random English girl. I
Mm.
was gonna say even when like the
And just how it's
farm
framed as
people are
well.
getting their limbs cut off, it's kind of funny. Is
That's pretty
not the
brutal, to be
right
fair.
word, Bacon. I'm telling you, I don't think it's funny, but it's kind of, and it's not goofy. It's kind of.
Ooh.
Oh, it's because beforehand they're like kind of confident and kind of ready for war that it's sort of like
Mm.
it's this mini sense of comeuppance, but it's sort of tragic comeuppance of
Of
like,
like,
see you
yeah,
dumb
yeah,
fuck, see what happens. But it's not like visceral
yeah.
like I did. I did that for comedic effect. But
The Yorm's Viking dying in the Baltic Sea War arc when he realizes that I guess it's not violent, but yeah, it's kind of harrowing.
yeah, that's
When the
just sort
guy
of like
realizes
that's
Harleston dead.
sad. I would say more so than like
Yeah.
this
The
is
Baltic Sea War
miserable.
has more funny violence as well in it, just to be like, this is
Yeah,
really stupid.
I
There's
love
like this old
war.
grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's this old grandpa and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go back to my grandchildren, and they like the Yorm's Viking just like catapult a big thing and it just squashes him.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh my word, like I laughed at that, but I was like, oh, holy crap, that's just like
What's that
violent.
from? Is
So
that there's like is that a berserk trope? There's something like I know that's from something else too, where it's like the dude is like, I'm really excited, and then he gets squashed immediately. What else is
yeah,
that from?
it feels like a general trope. I've definitely seen it
Yeah,
before.
like
Yeah.
it's definitely not like when I say things are from Berserk, it's just because I've only fucking read
Yeah.
Berserk, but I'm not trying to say Berserk invented these things. I feel like it might be even
Yeah, I know.
a Star Wars thing because Berserk. Hold on, we're going on a mini
Could
tangent. There's
be.
the Berserk thing where like the two guards. The Berserk does this like 3 times, I think, in the Golden Age arc, where it's just like two guards outside of like a thing, and they're like, "Man, I sure am having a bad day," and then fucking Casca comes through and
Finland
kills
does
both
this
of
as
them.
well.
I think Vinland might do this as well, huh?
Yeah,
But
it does it
that's
like
from
when before
Star
he
Wars, I'm pretty
meets.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. That feels like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah,
Chainsaw Man
Chainsaw Man
as
might
well.
do that. When Power kills the American brother, yes, that is the exact version of like I'm pretty sure he's excited for something tomorrow and then he gets killed
Mm.
immediately. Um,
Is that by the car? Is that by the car?
I think he might be the one that gets killed by the car, yeah,
That
because
was hilarious.
then because Power is the one driving it, yeah. The panel. Um,
Yeah. Anyway, I
what were we
think
saying? How does this connect to Vinland Saga?
so.
Oh,
So
gut punches
at
and
least,
things. Okay,
yeah.
yes.
So I think the main things I was like, I don't think they're dead. I think they could have fled, but I think it's unlikely. I think at least for the story to go, the more and more I dwell on it, I think it's definitely they've been captured. Now
Hmm.
I've seen some people suggest that maybe they're going to be used as a bargaining chip for Thorfinn just to leave in general. They've the natives, whichever native tribe this has been, they've been very very tactical
Hmm.
about how they've done it. They've clearly left the arrows there, shot a lot of them, made it very clear they do not want you to be here. You know, it's a scare
Mm-hmm.
tactic. That's, I think, what we can assume very surely. And they are not, and they've just, I think the next part where Thorfinn's clanging on the pot, um,
Yeah.
they are not there. No one's there because Thorfinn before has sensed the Elnu when they first were introduced. He sensed them
Yeah.
and looked at them. Here he can't sense anybody around. This is like if Thorfinn can't sense people around, that means they're probably not there.
Isn't
Um,
there?
so
It's in the Hijinks chapter where she's in the woods where she questions if maybe her senses have gotten worse. I wonder if that's going to come back somehow, and maybe they are there, and the point is that Thorfinn is kind of losing his killer instinct. But thematically, if that works against him, it would kind of reinforce that killing people is good. So
did Howard lose that? I
I,
can't
I
remember
don't think
that
she's.
part.
I think she says it's a little bit worse. I don't think she says she's like lost it.
Oh, okay.
But I think
Interesting.
when she's in the woods, or it might even be one of those
Yeah,
earlier ones with Thorfinn where he questions if maybe. I feel like I definitely remember one of them having an internal monologue where they question if they're getting worse from like peacetime.
oh,
Worse
okay. Because
senses.
there's one in the Baltic Sea when like Howard and Thorfinn both sense are hiding in a tree
Yeah,
away
and then
from the
Thorfinn says
Viking.
that Hild's is better, right?
Yeah, or something like that. And then Howard like
Maybe
goes,
that's what I'm
"Oh, these
remembering.
idiots! They're on horses. No way they'll be able to track us. They're amateur hunters or whatever, something like
I do
that.
remember that
Some
too.
some like edgy stuff, you know, got it uphill.
hmm
Um, um, yeah. I mean,
I wonder if
I don't
I'm
think.
remembering correctly or not.
I feel like if Hill did have that kind of thing there, that would be more thematic implication that she is changing herself, not that
Yes.
Thorfinn would as well. I don't think we can apply that to Thorfinn as well. I think it's more like, oh, Howard's not a hunter anymore, not that Thorfinn,
Yeah.
and that she's moving beyond violence. I think that's probably, well, that would be a suggestion too. Um,
It's funny because the first time
yeah.
through, I did kind of get the sense that they probably are watching them, even on
Mm.
because that's where I kind of got the thing of like the banging is sort of telegraphing that they're there, and if they could hear, it would like sort of be an initial impression of Thorfinn that he's a little bit
Oh,
different. Um, Sidon is saying that the laptop is dying. I haven't gotten a warning yet, but I am keeping an eye on it. It does look a little small, but we've got like
nothing. It's
5
been
pages
years
left.
since I tried this. It's not good how I've done good. Before I noticed it, I don't think that's her saying her
Hold on, I'm
senses
gonna
have
get
gone
this up too.
worse.
Um,
I guess it just says that she's been acclimatized.
I think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this. It's
So
been years since
that's what Sergeant
tackled
was saying.
a bear like this. It's not good how lately I've gone. Maybe this is what I'm thinking of. I feel like I remember the page of her hiding near a tree and saying something like that. Or it might be, actually, I think this might be what it is. I think it's when the bear dude first shows up, and she might think to herself, like, how did I let this thing sneak up on me? But obviously that wasn't
Oh,
a
I
real
see.
thing. So that might be what I'm
Yes,
getting confused
yes,
with.
yeah.
I think that
It's
is what it
interesting how she
was.
says it's not good here that she's gotten used to living around people. So that seems like
Yeah.
she's still holding on a little bit. So
Yeah, I feel like now she would say that is a good thing. But
yeah. Um,
then we
yeah. So
are we gonna?
we're
I
back
guess
to
we should.
another campfire scene with
Yes.
Thorfinn and Ivar. So this was another thing the most dangerous man. This was the chapter a while back, I think. This is actually 10 chapters ago. I think it was 182, where Ivar and Thorfinn also had a conversation, but there was bug guys there instead of Varga. Um,
Yes,
so
I
yeah, they are
remember.
having anotber conversation.
Okay, yes, I remember
Yeah.
this.
So and Ivar is slowly becoming more and more composed,
Yeah.
but he is still persistent. And I think his talking points are becoming more and more and more refined, which I like. And he's making good points, but he's still slightly missing the point. So, he, thematically, he's been used very well to criticize Thorfinn so far. But the fact that Ivar's still not fully got the whole picture makes me still be like, okay, I don't know where Yukimura is going with this, which makes it weirdly engaging as a reader. You know, you can be like, for me at least, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think I've said it on this, like our last conversation. You know, Vinland Saga, while the plot is now heating up, it's always been interesting in the fact you don't know where it's going thematically. Like, so the
Mm-hmm.
plot maybe whatever, so, but like where Yukimura wants to go and what he wants to say and the nuances he's going to spin on what he said so far. That's the really interesting part about it for me.
Yeah, I
And the
agree.
fact that both Thorfinn and Ivar are leaving rooms up to both be wrong and have the wrong interpretation of the situation. Thorfinn mainly due to history, what we know, and Ivar because of what's been going on in the plot and how he kind of just jumps to this assumption that they're dead. I think so.
Yeah.
That's an interesting kind
The
of.
I was thinking about this when reading it, and I've only just remembered this, and I'm glad I remembered it. Because, Bacon, do you remember a little video I made called something about the Baltic Sea War test in Thorfinn? And this whole
Yeah.
video was about how the Baltic Sea War arc thematically tested Thorfinn. And then I realized today that this is also a test of Thorfinn. It's continued over, but it's in a different situation. The Baltic Sea War tests are all personal to Thorfinn and to his little group of like his responsibility there. It's now become him as the head, basically the leader of a society, a civilization. Those are big words for big groups of people. What do you call it? The leader of the town. It's sort of him as a leader,
Yeah.
and this responsibility. If we can jump to the page where he has the cool art thing, it's Yukimura's cool art page for the chapter, where he says, "This is your fault." Maybe this isn't what he says. When he says like this is like the whole thing is your
Experiment.
responsibility. I
Yeah.
think he says Vinland does not belong to you alone. Where it's sort of like
Yeah.
ignore your personal thing here. It might be more important to the betterment of everybody to go to war here to defend your people, perhaps.
This has always been Ivar's strongest point, I think, as well. Like the fact that
Yeah.
he's making, look, this is Thorfinn, like, and way back when their first, you have the squid, they have the SpongeBob meme of Vinland Saga, right? That's what Ivar eventually gets to a point. Though he's angry while saying it, he's saying it's an experiment, like that's what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I've thought as the Baltic Sea War to be a more of a testing of Thorfinn, like showing Thorfinn's character growth in action and seeing does pacifism work for
Like
an individual,
personally.
and this, yeah, is it so? Can pacifism work for an individual, and can you apply that pacifistic ideology on a grander scale?
Yeah.
For example, a small settlement. And this is what this is then looking at. And then I imagine Yukimura will go even further and be like, well, can we apply this to society at large in our day-to-day life? And that's probably where a lot of the discussion nowadays will come to. And I'm not sure if Yukimura will come to a conclusion on that, but it's interesting to see how this is unfold. Because it could be possible that, like Yukimura is very much focusing on hey, as an individual, this is how you should act. This is how I think you should act. Like in Thorfinn in the Baltic Sea War, always
Yeah.
go to the first resort. But maybe later on, these criticisms, you can't force. Thorfinn is experimenting with people's lives here, and now you can see that his strategy has, caused people to disappear for whatever reason, and their lives may be in danger. So, like, it's not something to take lightly that Thorfinn is trying this thing that has never been done before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I just got the first battery warning, and I thought we had all the time in the world, but again, we're running against the battery, but we still got like 10 minutes here. So, I feel like we kind of finished the chapter here, so we can just this is all part of what we've been talking about. Fuck, I feel like I had some... Oh, the fact that Thorfinn is doubting himself here does sort of like, it's sort of the push and pull of the narrative of like, I feel like he has to get some sort of hope next chapter. We're
It's
down
more
in the
push and
dumps at
pull,
the end
but-
here, so I don't know if it... I feel like the positioning here of Garda being the extreme on one end of like they... What does he say? They've fled? Yeah, he says they fled. And
Varga.
yeah, Varga.
God is Arnie's wife.
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
No, the
They
husband,
got
whatever.
fucking. They all sound the same.
They do. They do.
And Ivar, not Einar, he's saying that they got killed. It can't be either one of those, and Thorfinn is sort of in the middle here. So I assume it will be they are captured.
Yeah. I think Ivar here is shown to have at least won the argument because he also appeals to Varga by saying, you also think the same way. Like Varga is kind of just trusting Thorfinn because of his personal attachment to Thorfinn, but he still has his old tendencies as being an old Viking or Jomsviking or whatever he used to be,
Yeah.
an old pirate effectively. And so, like, what Einar here is suggesting is just saying if they had proper weapons, this may have deterred the attack.
Yeah.
And like this is what he's harping on. So it's not like I was like, yes, we want to kill them. We want to kill. This is like the main point. Is like, it's the mutually assured destruction theory.
Yeah.
And and this ties back into the atomic bomb, which was shown by the shaman, and all these things. I think another thing to talk about is what's happening on this native side, because the teaser from last chapter made a direct quote saying that the shaman was doing something, but then we don't see the shaman this whole chapter. So has the shaman gone to this other tribe? Like, is he a shaman for multiple tribes?
Yeah.
Perhaps. As you said, maybe there's like 3 people. You got the Vinland, you got the Norse, but then you got 2 different Elnu settlements. And I think this is a point. I'm going on a big ramble here. This is a point I wanted to talk about earlier, just so I didn't forget. Is that there's clearly going to be division between both camps. I have a feeling even if the shaman Misquer says that, all right, we can't trust these people, definitely Nisquajija is going to be the opposite, and they're both like the different shamans, and they're working together. They're going to be split. I imagine the Elnu and the tribes will be split, and the Norse will also be split. And this allows for just, at least in my opinion, I think a setup for a tragic circumstance. Just like where you're like, oh no, I don't. It's kind of like when you see Snake fight Thorfinn. You both like the characters, and you don't want them to fight, but it's perfectly reasonable how they got to that situation. Which is when I'm like, oh, the juicy drama and the feels, and oh, this is good writing. Oh, the plot, it all lines up very well. So,
quickly on something we were talking about maybe like a minute ago. Now we do have to end in a second. Not in a second, in like 5 minutes. But the sword as an image, as a symbolic thing, especially when it was first shown that Einar had brought a sword. I think I assumed that, it's going to be like, it's going to bring some tension, but eventually Thorfinn will be like, Einar will throw his sword into the river or whatever. He will give up and Thorfinn will win him over.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if what Einar is saying here ends up being the compromise for Thorfinn here, of like, maybe we do have to all have swords, we just have to vow not to use them, just to ward off threats, because perhaps if they had swords, the natives wouldn't have as easily or even attempted to drive them or capture them. Because if they have scouts and they realize, oh, these people don't have any weapons, well, we can just run through and capture them no problem. It would be interesting to think about the sword symbol like that. How it's not just going to be like, oh, sword bad again. It could be a compromise for Thorfinn. Because I assume Thorfinn's going to have to compromise in some regard. It depends what Yukimura's stance on fucking pacifism is, which has sort of been what we've been thinking about for the last 2 arcs. Where it's like, well, is it going to be that pacifism is the way to the truth and the life, and we just dedicate ourselves wholly to Thorfinn's vision and everything works out in the end? Or do we have to have some sort of compromise here? Because pacifism obviously seems pretty unrealistic, but I feel like Vinland Saga as a thought piece, like the whole point is that it's unrealistic, and that's why the whole Baltic Sea War is sort of a test for Thorfinn to prove that it is possible if people try hard enough, and that it shouldn't be disregarded as easily as it is in like our world or today. Even though most people are afforded pretty pacifistic lives, at least directly. But yeah.
No, I totally agree, and as I said earlier, is that like what the heck is Yukimura doing thematically? Like I want to know, and that's like we still got the whole dream. Like, how is that going to be applied? I know lots of people are like, oh, we don't want the shaman to really like talk about like, oh, look, these things are guns, and then
he's probably just going to say destruction is coming or whatever. But
yes, I think it's going to be really vague. Like it's a dream, and I think the whole chapter is just to be like, whoa, okay, he's making a reference to these certain things.
Yeah,
I think for sure. I think most people are like this. I don't think then he's going to turn up with their, version 1 of a pistol.
Yeah.
I mean, like, hey guys, our shaman said this happened.
He's also an engineer.
Yeah. Turns out Howard has joined our team.
Yeah.
Whoa. But I mean, yeah, actually, last chapter, I think, the fact that Howard is back making items again leads into the suggestion that, the Norse are actually making technological advancements, which then only confirms the vision, and then
if she
that can
creates a
spiral
musket
control,
or something, which I guess is not entirely impossible. I don't know.
No, I don't think she'll make anything like that. But the fact that she's making, effectively a mill of sorts, that's really what's made it,
well, I was just going to say something that, like, the dude
happen,
could recognize from his vision that would, like, set him off.
Yeah, like maybe
flying,
like some
what
the
did he
magic
describe
bullets, magic arrows, invisible arrows.
Yeah.
Invisible
Or if
arrows,
she just makes a super crossbow that shoots really fast. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this was another thing. Is like they talk about how they're really good bowmen, and I'm like, I want to see a fight between Hild and maybe some, like, because they got kind of the similar skill sets where they're gonna hide in the woods and they're gonna, I don't know. Maybe Thorfinn has another scene where he's like trying to fight against the bow person this time, and he works with Hild. I don't know. There's so much that can happen.
It is interesting because I don't think I've thought about how it ends since the Hild chapter. Because now I assume Hild would fight to defend Thorfinn at some point, whereas
yeah,
I think I had when I had it in my ending predictions. I said something like Hild's going to be watching on the edge as they nearly come to blows, and like if Thorfinn has to fight, she'll kill him immediately or whatever, which is obviously not going to happen now. Unless she could, it depends how fucking sad of an ending we want to go. Because if she does like think Thorfinn has betrayed all the goodwill and she goes back into that or something and reverts as a character, I just don't see that happening. We're getting a happy ending, Bacon. Get over it.
No, we're not. I think, I mean, like, has she given up the crossbow? Like, I feel like maybe she'll never fire it again because she's given up hunting. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, it's. I just want to see this story and how it ends right now. Like, I like after the last chapter, I was like, oh, okay, I'm content. We got what we needed for Vinland Saga this month. I've been like that for this for a while because it's just so kind of almost slice of lifey. We get the food that we want.
Yeah,
now
the
this
good
food,
stuff.
this is just the starter. This is the good stuff. That's like the starter is heating up, and like this is something I wish I could just put myself into a cryo chamber in 2 years and binge read 24 chapters at once, and it'll be beautiful. But
no, Bacon, this is the bullshit. The slice of life stuff is continuing on. It'll be for the rest of the chapters. I'm sorry. You do have to wind down. I'm on 10%. We should have like 2 minutes left. But
okay.
Overall thoughts, I guess. I do like the image at the end here of him looking sad at the campfire. For whatever reason, that's cute. Wait, I didn't read the next time. Next time is the same fate awaiting Vinland. Oh, well, that's vague.
It's very vague.
Thorfinn has turned away from violence. Can he keep his Frida, or the stone thing? Interesting.
Yeah. I think one thing that could happen next chapter is maybe we get we go back in time, so a flashback from the Elnu perspective.
Perhaps,
so we know in the winter, this is when he's had his vision because it was all snowy when he woke up and his hut was broken. Miss Piquet or whatever his name is, and then so imagine we see maybe from his perspective or Nisquadju's perspective being with him and seeing what he's saying, and then like this adds in complications and maybe something like that. And so, because as I was saying, or will this mystery be drawn out? Because I don't see Yukimura doing that, but
maybe for a few more chapters, but
maybe for a few more chapters, yeah. And it's gonna feel like a long time, but when this comes together, it may just be.
I assume we're going to be with this group for a little while because now we're at Thorfinn and the new characters, and we're gonna flesh out these new characters. I'm assuming. I feel like they have to.
We've still got 25 chapters left, so 20. So
I feel like this has to be. I feel like this is the boiling point for Ina, not Ina, Ivor as a character. Like this will be. Like this will be his resolution, I think. Which I mean, we do have a lot of time, so it could be we win him over and then we go back and we have our happy ending.
Perhaps. I mean, but maybe Ivor does
Cordelia
just kill
isn't
someone,
here,
like, or yeah, Cordelia.
which is
Cordelia
interesting
is still around. You've even
because
got
we did
Master
tease all that.
Mr. Oogie as well.
Yeah, we did tease like she would tell for the sword, but if he has the sword with him now, she's not here to tell. I guess maybe when we get back, it'll be like, or maybe they go missing and we send another party after them, like Hild, Gudrid, and Einar or something. Don't know how Gudrid go, especially if she's pregnant. Ignore that. And they have to like track.
Maybe.
And then Cordelia says, "Oh, Einar had a sword or something," and that's how that gets resolved.
What? Yeah, maybe Ivor goes on a thing with Thorfinn and Hild and a few others, and they like the Norse split up as a little looking party or something like that, or maybe like Ivor is really like this information gets spilled out to the public, and Ivor conjures up support to go and try and find these other people, and so he goes on himself to try and find the other Norse, and then they encounter Elnu, and because Ivor's leading it, anything could happen, and then Ivor and Sturk could have a confrontation about what to do, and all these different things, and
well, Bacon.
What's gonna happen? There's a lot of stuff that can happen. Me, it's exciting.
There's a lot of speculation. I am very excited. I did indeed just get the final battery warning, so we will do our outro here. Do you have anything final to say? You got one sentence. Vinland good.
Very good chapter is now. The month will be painful.
The month wait, yes, indeed. We will be back in a month, chat and YouTube audience. Vinland Saga videos usually do pretty well over here. Leave a comment. Never enough comments on these videos. Tell us if something you said was stupid or the smartest thing you ever heard, preferably the latter.
Yeah, educate us on that history stuff.
Maybe don't do that. I just assume we were right on all things. But with that being said, we'll see you back here in a week. No, in a month. In a week, we should be back with the last Attack on Titan video. Check that out, maybe. And then after that, we might be rereading some things. You never know. It might be on this channel. It might be on the main channel. We haven't figured that out yet. Me and Bacon, perhaps going through Berserk. What? Wacky? Who?
What?
Could be interesting.
No. Couldn't be us.
We will win Bacon over. But with that being said, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Why am I stalling? Support links in the description below. Thanks.